Good evening, everyone. Well, it's evening for me. What time is it with you? Right, let's see who's with us. Garvin Ranch is top of the shop today. Howdy. Hey, finally out to make a live today. Well done. Good to have you with us. Hi, Gail. How you doing? Hi, Solara. I'm going to talk about Nelson a little bit later. Pia. Hiya. Thank you for your message earlier. Hi, Malin. Susie Pemberton, hello. Thanks for the advice on the bonsai nippers. I ordered a pair yesterday. Perhaps we need shares in Amazon. Caroline Schillig, hello from a very wet and wild Portugal. The dams are filling up nicely. Oh, good. So that's ready for the drought season, is it? Hi, Ellen. Hi, please discuss central sulcus thrush. Seems to clear up and get dry in a few days of treatment. Couldn't picture 6 weeks of treatment because it closes up fairly fast in dry weather. Okay. I'd still like to see pictures of the central sulcus and the frog, even when it's dried up. Because a central sulcus infection, the infection can clear up, but if the central sulcus is very narrow and dirt and dust and debris can get in there, you end up treating it, it gets better, and more dirt, dust and debris gets in there, has a pathogen party, and then it comes back again. So I'd like to see images. And then if that's the case, you have to keep treating until that central sulcus has completely grown out. So it depends on what you mean by the central sulcus. Is it deep and crevice-like? Then the treatment needs to be more continuous. So I need to see pictures, if you wouldn't mind. That'd be great. Thanks. Hi, Angie. Hi, Monica. Hi, Marianne. Yeah, it's been chilly here today as well. I've been out trimming again. This time I was out trimming Lindsay's French clients. No peace for the wicked. Had a lovely day. And my good lady wife came with me for a road trip. Morning, Leah. Hi, Shannon. Hi, everyone from third winter, northern Alberta. Hopefully final spring is next. Let's hope so. Let's hope so. We love pets. Hello from Pennsylvania. Hiya. Hi, Melanie. How you doing? Hi, Anne from Stratford in Canada. Perfect. Hi, Tara from a very wet Spain. My ponies don't want to leave their shelter. I opened my new hay from France and it is so nice. I can relax for a few months now. Isn't that great when you end up getting your hay supply and it's exactly what you want? Oh my goodness. These little things that please us, isn't it? They make a huge difference and a huge worry off of our minds. Hi, Ulrika. Hi, Vanya. Hi, Sandra. Well, we got lots of pros and students with us tonight. Wow, it's tonight for me. It's 9:10 in the evening. How long do the soles take to grow? I would say probably about 2 to between 2 and 4 months, depending. The soles grow very differently to the horn on the hoof wall. So you've still got papillae and horn types making structures. But where the horn on the outer hoof wall, they grow down, it's almost like hair. And then you've got this interconnecting horn. So it's all very straight. Now with the sole, it comes out of the sulcorium. There's a little bit papillae there, and it grows out, and it grows out a bit like a flower. And as this sole grows, it grows in effectively plates, and they grow on top of each other and keep going on top of each other. And then when you end up getting sole that exfoliates, so at the other end, that's why sometimes it can appear a bit flaky, and it comes off in these little tiny plates of horn that don't need to be there anymore. So anything between 2 and 4 months, depending on the thickness of the sole. Yeah, I wonder why you're asking. Is it because you've got a horse maybe with thinner soles and you're hopefully building those soles to grow? Obviously, the hoof has got to be in the right position, following Mother Nature's constants for everything in the foot to be running at optimum. So I hope that helps, Michelle. Hi, Camilla. Hello, Dee. Tara. Amira's sorry, can't speak. Put your teeth in. Amira's thrush clearing has been very slow, and I don't see her every day. But I found using 1 ml syringe, the cream in her deep central sulcus works a treat. Absolutely. Yeah. And that's a mixture of a thrush cream and a general antiseptic. You want something that, this is if the central sulcus is deep. And it's very narrow. We use the term baby butt crack. If you've got that kind of thing going on, then the antibacterial cream mixed with the thrush cream, stick it in a syringe and wedge it in there. And you need to do that initially for every day for 6 weeks. And then you can start leaving it, doing it every other day and then every 3rd day. But it takes a long time for that deep central sulcus to actually grow out and heal. Solarium, why does the bar grow so much when it should be on the level of the HSP? Well, it's because it's part of the hoof wall. So the bar is just a continuation of the hoof wall. So if this is the toe, the hoof wall comes round here and then comes into the bar. So it's the same material. So it's got a water line, it's got a white line, it's got its own papillae. So everything is the same for the bar as it is for the hoof wall. So the hoof wall continually grows. What ends up happening is, because the bars are actually in the sole more, it doesn't get as much wear, because domestic horses very often don't get enough movement. So the bars tend to appear to grow quicker than the hoof wall because they're actually in the sole. So that's why when you look at wild feet, Mustang feet, there's virtually no bar above the hard sole plane, because they're on varied terrain. It's very harsh, it's very hard, it's very stony, and the bars are being worn at the same level as the hoof wall. I hope that answers your question, Solara. Hi, Vivienne. And hi, Jenny. Ulrika, cows can get sole ulcers. Can equines have them too? I think I've heard of ulcers, and it's more around the frog area, not so much in the actual hoof itself. Okay, so we love pets. Why do you recommend not to soak laminitic or abscessed feet? I use a dry Epsom salt in a boot because I don't want to soften the sole any more than needed, but just wondered why wet soak is not recommended. Okay, because very often, well, we don't really, the tradition is if you think you've got an abscess, you put a poultice on the bottom of the foot. Well, in actual fact, I don't want the abscess to come out at the bottom of the foot. Thank you very much. That's probably one of the worst places that it can come out. It can come out at the bottom on its own accord, of course, but that is less common. If it comes out the bottom, then very often they are recurring because they seal, and then there's still gunk and dirt and debris that's in there, or necrotic tissue that then still has to work out. In an ideal format, the abscess would burst at the heel bulbs or at the coronet band, because then it's not where the horse is walking, which makes sense, doesn't it? And if it does burst out of the sole, how do we keep it clean? How do we help with that when it's so important for our horses to keep moving? Now, with the moving, when the abscesses burst at the back of the foot, so out of the heel bulbs, maybe around the back of the frog or at the coronet band, it means that the base of the foot can still function, and then it pushes all of that gunk out, all of that infection. The foot can still act as a pump and pump it out. And I'm sure if anybody's had that happen, that abscess hole can be weeping for a number of days before it's got rid of it completely. And I have to say, when they're left to actually come out of their own accord, re-abscessing is much reduced. And obviously we don't do digging either. And it's a horrible thing, seeing these horses with abscesses, and they can look as though they've broken their leg, but they're lame for sure. When they put their foot down, it blimmin' hurts. But I have to say, on the whole, they're still eating, they're still drinking, and I have to say, pain relief for abscesses is it doesn't really work because there's just so much pressure in the foot. But when it's at that stage, you know that it's just about to burst. It slowly builds up. I've got a new horse that's coming to me that I inherited from a dear friend, and he was supposed to be on his way to France. He was supposed to be here by now, and he couldn't travel because he's just got himself an abscess. But I had a lovely call from the livery yard today, and all is well. All is well. We just let nature take its course. He's much happier. Solera, thank you. That makes perfect sense. A lot of this to do with hoof care is very logical, very logical. Sometimes we just make things way more complicated than they need to be. You're very welcome, Solara. We will get to your post in a minute. I just want to get through all of these comments. Okay. Hi, Uta from a rainy Germany. And we had a little bit of rain today, but not much. Sarah Lou, hi, finally, I caught alive. Hi, Sarah Lou. Thanks for your message the other day. Thank you for your explaining. That makes sense. I just found it longer than the horse was in pain, depending on where the abscess is. Yeah, bar abscesses are the gold standard. And very often, once they've blown, depending on the size of them, the horse can lose a bar and a heel. It can even go right underneath and be subsolar. They can be horrendous, but very often you don't see the aftermath of the abscess until several months later. And then your hoof care provider comes along and it looks as though half the foot's falling off, but underneath there's a brand new, brilliant bit of hoof. And it looks a little bit of a mess to start with, but the horse is actually really quite glad to get rid of the old rubbish. And there's a nice new foot underneath. It's shocking when it first happens, when you see it as a hoof care professional. Hi, Lydia. Hi, all. Sunny and melting today. So is that the snow that's melting, Lydia? Our horses have not been able to self-trim as they have been snow on the ground since November. Hope we get to see ground soon. Sadly, probably not till April. Oh, my goodness. I couldn't cope with that much snow, I don't think. I'd prefer sun. I prefer sun than snow. Vanya, what can you do if a horse continually has abscesses coming out of the bars and sole? Bars stroke sole. It may be that they need trimming more. I'd have to see pictures, Vanya. So if you want to send me some, then we can go through it together. It's not very often that it happens, but I have had it happen, that you end up, there's this one black spot and it can be right by a bar. And you think, okay, I've trimmed it down to the sole plane and everything's hunky-dory. But this horse keeps abscessing. And then when the abscesses don't disappear, you just make sure that you get rid of every little bit of dirt, and it's. I need to see the pictures because hello. I was going to do a big warm up. Now I was here the other day, and I was made myself laugh today because I was here and I had my headphones on and I didn't have anybody to talk to. So I thought, tonight I've got anybody to talk to. I'm not going to put my headphones on.
And now you have to.
Hello,
Sorry about my wet hair. I've just got out of the shower and it doesn't appear to be a hairdryer here, so I'm just.
I was gonna give you a big intro and say, look who's come to join us.
Well, I've screwed up, Garry, because I was thinking that you were behind, because it was easy when I was in New Zealand.
I nicked your time, didn't I? I nicked your time to do a live.
Well, yes, but it's not your fault. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go live in the evening, which will make it the morning for everybody, because otherwise it just can't catch up. Because unless I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I know I won't do that because I'll be too knackered.
You don't want to do that.
Although I have to say, we're going to bed very early. We are going to bed early here, but at 5 o'clock is just, I won't be able to, especially for our lovely students, I won't be able to do a decent lesson. Look at the state of my hair. It's all wet. Anyway, how's things?
Yeah, good. I've been busy today. Rachel and I had a road trip and we went to see Lorette.
How was she?
Yeah, she's good. She's good. Yeah, Rachel and Lorette had a lovely time while I was busy working away.
Oh, great. How are the horses? All fine?
Yeah, all good, all good. Their feet have changed amazingly because I haven't seen them for what, maybe 4 or 5 trims. Their feet have really come on, haven't they? Really
Aren't they
come on.
good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, they are good.
even Celeste and her body issues, she was just tied up with some hay, and she was much better than I've ever seen her before.
She's getting better. Yes.
Yeah. And Nikki was
Yes.
great too, old girl, but she was good. She was good.
Oh, that's lovely. That's one of my clients that Gary's just gone to yesterday. Today. It was today, was it for you?
Yeah. Yes. So yes, that would have been yesterday for you, because you're now Friday morning, aren't you?
We're Friday morning. It's 7:25 in the morning here.
Yes. So it would have been yesterday for you.
Yeah, it's 7:25 in the morning. We are going to be leaving in about 20 minutes, half an hour, and we'll be off to our lovely new venue. We turned up yesterday to have a look, and it was just great. Oh my God. The lovely girl Alex, whose place it is, and Mary were there, Mary House, who went and collected all the legs, and she's done this massive road trip from Adelaide, I don't know, I think so, I think that's where she came from, and she's done this big road trip to collect the legs and turn up, and bless them all. And it was, as Mary opened up her boot to get all her kit out, it was like being with us. It was like all the kit that we needed, all the tarps, the extension cables, the urn. It was so we've been so lucky. I can't tell you how lucky we have been, where everybody has pulled out the stops to make these workshops possible. It's so wonderful. And tidying up and getting things cleaned for us, and getting chairs and toilets, and it's just been so good. So we were there, and we felt, Asher and I felt like we were driving through the Australian bush, because it's
I saw the
quite,
video
feels,
that where you saw your first kangaroo.
kangaroo, and Asher went, look, and I went, oh my God. And there were no cars behind us, so we pulled over, and I'm trying to video this little speck in the distance jumping away. It was massive. I can't tell you how big that thing was. It was clearly a male, I think. And so we were very excited to see our first kangaroo. And then we got to Alex's place, and I said, how many acres you've got? She said, I've got 80 acres, and it's like this mostly, you know. So we wandered over to have a look, and there was this massive mob of kangaroos right in front of us. I mean, not touching distance, but like the other side of the field to us, that kind of distance. And Asher and I, we sounded like pathetic, you know, excited tourists.
Children,
going,
yeah.
oh my God, look at the kangaroos! And they were all hopping about and moving around.
Do you remember what our dogs would be like? Can you imagine?
Yeah, I don't know. They'd
probably try, and they think, oh my God, and then they think, oh my God, they're much bigger than me.
Oh my God, some of them are massive. I mean, I've seen wallabies, but I don't actually think I've ever seen a proper kangaroo in the flesh, because I've seen wallabies, because they're smaller, aren't they? But kangaroos are blooming massive, huge. And apparently Alex says she's got a couple. She's got some massive eagle nests.
Oh yeah.
As well. So it's a particular eagle. I can't remember which one she said it was. And she's going to show us those as well on her property. And this lovely girl, she saves lambs. So she's got 19 lambs. She doesn't eat them. She's just got them to save as pets, orphaned lambs. And she knows them all by name. They've all got a name. And it's her and her mum. So lovely, such lovely people. But on a more serious note, she was telling me how she's got 5 horses, and she was telling me how her 5-year-old horse has been having problems ever since she had him, really. And she'd taken x-rays, and they'd told her that he had rotation, which he didn't have any separation, but he's got a foot that's been being clubbed. which has changed from the x-ray she had when he was shod, and he'd been shod. And remember, he's only 5. And we went and had a look at his feet, and Garry, we're going to trim all her herd, but we're going to trim him this evening, so that I would have trimmed him yesterday, but I said to Alex, we're going to trim him tomorrow evening after day 1 of the workshop, after you've actually done some trimming yourself, because you'll appreciate it so much more. And yeah, and there's a trend. There's this, I can't even begin. There's this trend for scooping the heel quarters. So right by the heel, and I thought they were doing it with a rasp, but they're not. They're doing it with a knife, and they're coming in right on the, just before the seat of corn, on the wall.
Yeah.
And they're scooping the heel right into the triangle of the heel, taking that triangle away and leaving points.
Why?
I know, looking at your face.
Why?
So scooping these heel quarters, and then going forward, you rarely get a foot that's properly balanced at the mediolateral, at the toe quarters. And then at the toe pillar, they take their rasp and do the usual and make this sort of
Bull
comes
nose.
down and goes. It's like a blob on the end of the foot. And then when you turn it back round and have a look, all that waterline has been removed at the toe into the white line. If I had to put my finger on from heel quarters forward, is lack of accuracy. It's lack of balance and lack of accuracy. They're just I know they probably don't. Whoever's doing this, whoever came up with this trend, and it's I think it's just another example of how owners really need to learn this, because there are so many horses out there that are getting PPT.
Yeah.
But this is a version of PPT. There's a very specific version of it, and the bars being left, big lumpy bars. This horse had massive lumpy bars. And as soon as you pick the foot up, and it's very difficult to catch it on camera. We have taken photographs of lots of these feet with the pointed heels. It's not easy to catch it on camera, but as soon as you pick the foot up, you can see it, and you can see it with the foot sat on the ground as well. Here at the back, there's this little arch.
Yeah,
it's an arch. It's a scoop, and so consequently, the heel, because it's pointed, isn't down flat, and so therefore it's higher than it should be at that point. It's very odd. It's very, very odd. And in conversation with one trimmer in New Zealand, she said that the reason they do it is to relieve the heel quarters. And I said, but what are you doing that for? And she said, and not just that, they then rasp that area. So there's barely any wall left. So in New Zealand, and it was not so easy to see on this horse last night, and but we will once we'll take pictures before and after. But in New Zealand, they're taking those heel. Not only are they relieving, and I hate that word, relieving the heel quarters, but they're taking the wall down below the hard sole plane. So that area just in front of the heel is calloused. The sole is calloused. And the toe quarters aren't, and I mean, obviously they're not going to be level because that's the whole arch, but they're not on that plane. And then the toe, well, forget it. They're not really balancing to the toe. It's very odd. And like I said, I thought they were doing it with the rasp until Asha saw it happen with the knife, until she saw what they were doing with the knife. And just after that relief of the heel quarter, we then hit the widest part of the foot. and it cracks. It begins to break just around that junction between where they've completely relieved it to the. You're like, what are you doing? And so I asked this girl, I said, what are you doing? She says, I'm relieving the heel quarter. I said, what for? She said, well, because it's higher than the toe quarter. I said, is it? I said, hang on. I said, what are you talking about? How can it be? If you're trimming to the horse's natural hard sole play and the natural parameters, then the toe and the 3 points are in play, and then everything is just a gentle. The horse decides, not us, but it's a gentle arch all the way through. Well, and then I asked about this bit, and I said, and what are you doing here? And she said, well, we're backing up the toe. And I said, what are you backing up the toe for? And the answers are, well, and then you can see it, and I go, no, why are you backing up to? There was something about horn tubules and something about lever forces and something about. And I'm going,
You have no clue.
no. And then I said, okay, no, they've not got a clue about the natural foot. This is the point.
Right. Yeah.
And then they get into this muscle memory and they just do the same thing. They can't stop themselves because that's what we've done. We put in and relieve the heels, and heels are like this, because you can't, when you've got a point, you can't sufficiently do proper dorsopalmar balance. God, Garry.
Throw it off completely. And it's
You can't
almost
see it.
how can you make that foot right with that trim? Almost impossible.
It is
because they've taken too much away.
It's weird.
It's
when you, because you think, why you're now forcing those soles, that sole at the heel quarters to callus, to create this thick callus, because no bloody wall. And then there's a little bit of wall. Sometimes they leave a little bit of wall. In the other areas, they leave a little bit of wall above the hard sole play, around that widest part, sometimes, not all of us, but usually. And then I said, why are you doing that? And so that they can walk better on gravel. I went, oh.
How?
But
how does that work?
And the two horses that we were looking at weren't very good on gravel. And I went,
that works then. Sorry to be blunt, but
oh my God. It's a certain way that's being taught, and it's obviously in Australia. And I just think these people, if you're not taught the natural foot, if you're not taught about that, and that's why we do the whole workshop, don't we? We go through 55 million years of evolution to why the horse is the way it is now. That's how we do everything that we teach. And so people, when they go in, the owners, when they go in with their cadaver feet in the afternoon to do some trimming, they've got a good idea in their mind that we must be following the natural foot. And then once you show them and you start doing it, they get it, and they're like, oh. And Asha tried to trim that way. She tried to do it. She couldn't do it. She's like, obviously on a dead foot. She was trying to do half and half. And so she's like, very weird and very sad. And it just goes to show that these people are taught a certain way, which there are no constants. And so therefore, if you're not trimming to a constant, then what happens is you're free willy then. As you go out to trim, you can do, nobody's checking up on you. So you started out with personal preference trimming. That personal preference just gets worse. And looking down at dorsopalmar balance, doesn't happen.
That's weird.
And I suppose, we know the problems with personal preference trimming, but I tell you, these poor horses, and vets are x-raying them left, right and centre, and the vets have not a clue as to whether that foot is how it should be. And so the only answer they have to a horse that's not doing very well is to slap a shoe on. And then the person that's trimming before they put the shoe on could be doing all sorts of things as well. God, I feel so sorry for these horses. I feel so sorry for these horses. And I said, you know this bit you're doing at the front here? And I went and got one of our cadavers.
Yeah.
And poor horse, and I plucked it next to its foot. I went, there. That's the foot the horse is going to make, and that's the foot you've made with this bit here, you know, or with this bit here. And I said, do you think the horse would do that naturally? Do you think the horse would somehow scuff the front of its foot and make that at the bottom of its foot? It's ledge, because they've done this so much. And the answer was just mouth open, really. And then when I showed her the foot that we did, she said, oh, well, you've not backed the toe up. I said, oh.
Why?
She said, you've not backed the toe up. And I went, hang on. She said, you've not put a roll in. And I went and turned it upside down. And I said, there's the roll. It was a big fat roll as well. And she went, oh. I said, and look at my waterline. Look how consistent it is all the way around. Look at the quarters. Look how there's a lovely arch. And I didn't put that arch in. Look how flat the heels are. Never been taught it. Never been taught it. Been taught some bizarre way. And just think, let's just say you and me took our knife to pinpoint heels, and that's what I'm calling them, pinpointed heels. You and I would do that differently. You would leave a bit more than I would leave.
Because it's not a constant to follow.
No, that's just making it up.
Yeah.
All because they've been told that if you don't relieve the heel quarter, it's going to be above the toe quarter. It was some weird thing. And I'm like that. I mean, I know it sounds, you know, I sort of, I'm laughing, but I'm not laughing. I'm just, yet again, shocked and frustrated.
Yeah, gobsmacked. Yeah. How many years have horses been in the human's life? Oh my God. And we're still getting it wrong. Not we.
No.
But humans, or the majority of.
No, and they love it, you know, as you know, Garry, and you know, they get there and they get their hooves and they start trimming, and they get so particular with the bars, you know, and they keep asking it, and they see those lumps and they keep going, it's really hard. And I said, yeah, the bars are hard because it's wall.
It's hoof wall.
But I think, and you know, on top of that, you get issues with horses not standing still, or horses not, and you know, we've got to ask our questions. Some of the reasons why these animals don't stand still, is it because, as we know, they're uncomfortable, and every time they put their foot down, they know they're going to feel even more uncomfortable, which may not manifest itself in a lame horse. It just manifests itself in a horse that's having to compensate with their posture. And we hear this all the time. People talk about posture all the time. I don't care how you dress it up. I don't care what fancy words you use. That horse cannot have the posture it needs if you are determining what its feet should look like.
If you haven't got
how you dress that up.
If you haven't got, and this is when we were at that dissection clinic with Bex in Dublin, when we had all of those body workers watching me do a trim. My punchline at the end was, how can you have that horse having effective balance if he hasn't got effective balance support from the ground? And then I turn around, how many of you go and see horses every 6 weeks and fix the same problem every 6 weeks, have you looked at the feet? Feet, teeth, body. It's that simple. And in
That
that
way.
order, in that
order, Garry.
Feet, teeth, body. If you haven't got got those 3 in place, oh, there's a lesser spotted asher.
She can't hear you because she's not got her head.
I didn't hear what she said.
She says she's coming to say we need to leave. Right, we've got about 10 minutes.
Okay.
5 minutes. Let's just go through some of these quick. Says Lydia says.
Sorry.
What she say? Lydia's here for. Lindsay's here from the future. I'm from the future. Weird, isn't it? Isn't it weird? It's weird.
It is weird.
Oh, that's good to know. Excellent.
We're getting there, Linz. We're getting there. Pia's doing a great job.
Well done, Pia. That's good to hear. Oh, I love to hear that. So those sort of things. Can I just say that currently I think we have a pony here with the longest toe that was ever in existence. And she's not doing badly, is she? She's doing all right. We'll sort it out. But she's doing good. She's doing good. No, Lydia says no. No, I do.
We're gonna have a bit of a competition now.
We'll have a toe off. I will measure tomorrow. You should measure too. We shall compare. I will send you a picture. Yes, Lydia says, Lindsay, I think they are creating the arch. That's what they're trying to do. No, the arch is there if you just follow the hard cell plane. It's natural. Leah, lovely Leah. Oh, Garry, we've had some lovely times with Leah. She's been an absolute doll.
I don't want to know. I've missed out on it all.
She came to the 3 days. She came to the 3 days in Christchurch, and then we had 3 days at Penny's, and then we went and spent a day with Leah at Penny's and at Leah's place. So thankful you made the trip around the world to us. We needed you here, Lindsay and Asher. Well, we enjoyed ourselves. And Tim. Marianne says, good heavens, it's terrifying that some weird trim is doing the rounds in New Zealand and Oz. And you know something? I've seen it in the UK. I was sent, and I tried to find it. I was sent an image of a trim by somebody quite well known who doesn't like us. And I sent an image of a trim, and I saw this scoop at the heel. And I've seen EP's trims with it as well. Not all of them, because you don't get to see them all. It's like you're putting a foot on with a stiletto heel at the back, and you're putting this little arch right at the end, and then they rasp it off at that side. And I've seen it, but I've only seen it in a photograph. And until you pick a foot up and you pick it up and you go, ooh, it affronts you. You go, oh God, what's going on with those heels? Teeny little points that they're walking on. Teeny tiny points. Smaller than my end of my fingers.
Weird.
Yes. Oh, Lynn. She said, and Tim. Anyway, right. I'm going to have to go now. So I do apologise, everybody. This isn't my live, but I've joined Garry and I've screwed up. So I will go live probably late tonight, which will be in your morning. We've got to go. Asher's staring at me. I've got to go. I'm getting told off. Do you know they're ganging up on me?
Good.
Do you know what they made me do yesterday? And I was terrified.
What?
They made me go on a big wheel. Oh, I'm never doing that. They're kicking and screaming. A big wheel. You know, one of those big wheel things.
Oh, yeah, I like them.
Oh, I cried. They've videoed me as well, and it's awful. And they're laughing at me. It's so mean. I think they realised when they got me up there that actually that was probably a bad idea, that I was being serious, that I don't like heights. Ellen says, oh my God, I think that pointy heel thing was done to my horse, going to hop on those challenges SAP. Okay, right. I'm going to love you and leave you. It's great to see you, Garry. And
good to see you too. Have a great day.
We will. We'll let you know. We'll put some photos up later. Take care now. Bye, everyone. Bye.
Right, where was I? It's back down to me again. So shall we go and have a look at that post that I said I was going to look at? We've got 15 minutes left. That take us right up to when I need to finish. Okay, so bear with me a second. I've lost you. I need to share my screen. Here we go. So let's see what we've got going on here. So, hey everyone, I'm fairly new here and would love some advice on my Percheron, who has been struggling for years with lameness in his left front. Nelson, what a great name. Nelson was first diagnosed with a ligament injury 3 years ago. Since then, he has healed well, and when nerve blocked to figure out why he was still lame, we found the hoof to not be the issue. Attached our x-rays from late August last year. It is it's very on and off lameness, some days worse than others. I've started assisting in taking off parts of the hoof that are shedding, but haven't done much more than that. But I do notice a positive difference once I have done it. Okay. So it sounds as though you're experimenting a bit with following the hoof. Yeah, not to put words into your own mouth. Please tell me what you see, and I appreciate any assistance. This is truly a wonderful soul who would love to explore trails again. He's 9 years old. Oh, he's so young. And being a Percheron, he is only just, maybe, finished growing. The big horses take a lot longer than others. Weighs around a ton. Yes, he would do. Just moved to a track system and eating, can't pronounce that word, taking hoof supplements, joint supplements, and gut supplements with simple, speedy beat and lucerne chaff. Well, first of all, now you're on a track, which is great. Check your hay. You want it as mixed species as possible. And my advice is ditch everything else. He's got a lovely covering already, perhaps a little bit too much. You don't need all of these extras, and do that for at least 6 months. All the lucerne, the speedy bee, the supplements, they can all complicate the gut and the body. It's guesswork at best. So I would really encourage you not to deal with all of that, because you've just moved to a track system where there's going to be lots of lovely hay. That should be all that he needs. Hay and fibrous forage. You don't need all of this stuff. This is just it's throwing a dart at a problem and with a hope that it might fix something. It's not targeted at all, and can actually do more harm than good. We would call this hypernutrition and hypersupplementation. I'm not saying that there's not a place for some of it, but it needs to be targeted and it needs to be specific. The feed companies, the supplement companies make millions out of marketing this stuff. And on the whole, I have to say, most horses do not need it or want it. My vets and farriers are unsure how to proceed. Now, that's I think that's really good that they've actually admitted that, because many don't. So my hat goes off to them. The most recent thing that we did was take off the shoes and pads that he was in. Instantly more sound. Brilliant. You're listening to your horse. Fantastic. Then I started assisting the shedding. More sound again straight away. Brilliant. I think you're starting to be on the right path. I was going to say the right track, excuse the pun. But it's back and forth with lameness. Okay. That's probably because you're not able to be consistent enough just yet. Thank you. I so appreciate the amount of knowledge for this group. I hope all the photos are up to standard. Okay, so let's go and have a look. He's a handsome chap, isn't he? So let's have a look at Nelson. Okay, can you see these little bruise marks here? That's probably because there's too much pressure here in the quarters. Now, you said that you took the shoes off. When was that? I can see that there's some nail holes still, so I would imagine that's fairly recently. When horses are having shoes on, obviously the hoof has to be dead flat for that flat metal shoe to go on. In the natural foot, there is arches in the quarters, so basically creating a bridge, and that bridge can be very small or it could be bigger. The horse decides. We often see these bruises here is because when the hoof is left flat, then the arches in the quarters are meant to be passive, but when you have them flat or they are in a shoe, they are actually active because they're left flat. So this causes bruising, and obviously this bruising happened when it was up here at the coronet band. It's just extra pressure where the horse doesn't want it, basically. That's what causes those bruises. Same here. That's more towards the toe quarter by the looks of things. Okay. So we can see that this foot is exfoliating, can't we? Can you see all of this flaky sole? So this is not the hard sole plane. All of this flakiness needs to be taken away. And if you're not a hoof care professional, it needs to be taken away gently. I think somebody mentioned to Solara that about the challenges. We can help you with this. I would suggest getting on. If you're going to be taking over the hoof care, which is great news, I have to say, the challenges or a in-person workshop are going to be a must for you. So have a look at the website or just drop a note in here. We can send you all the links. Okay, so for a start, it looks like the heels aren't level or balanced. Very difficult to tell from this view only, but we'll see on other images. Also, can you see that this bar here, there should be a water line and a white line that comes down to here, and the bar finishes about here. This bar here is completely folded over. So all of this needs to be exfoliated. Now you've got the bar that's coming down here. This is still overgrown, but it hasn't folded over on this side, or it hasn't folded over as much. To the untrained eye, people might think that this is the bar. It isn't. It isn't. And also you can see here, you've got a bit of a lip going on. So you've got the sole and then there's a lip on the hoof wall, whereas you haven't got it here. So this foot is out of balance. There's more height to the hoof wall on this side than this side, albeit you've still got some sole to exfoliate. So we're not down to the hard sole plane yet. So I think first off, Solara, well done for taking the shoes off. That's step one. And yeah, that's awesome. And you're starting to see how the hoof is starting to show you where it needs to be. All of this flaky stuff needs to be off. Needs to be off. That's a good start. Okay, even in this image, this heel seems to be lower than this heel. So the balance at the back will be off. Again, this looks the same. And we haven't even got to a caudal shot yet. And can you see here, and like I said before, we still haven't got down to the hard sole plane, but this is much smoother. And this, you've got lips everywhere where there's hoof wall above the sole and the heel. Doesn't need to be like that. And you said that it was originally a ligament problem. Can you imagine that you've got a foot that's balanced, and you can imagine if it was constantly out of balance, just like that. Every time he puts its foot down, it's going to put a strain on those soft tissues, all of them, in the foot and further up the leg if it's off balance. This is a trimming problem. This is a trimming problem. Okay, we've got a little toe crack there, but that's okay. That will grow out. So you can see here, there's a bit of sole here, and you can see how that bar is proper folded right over. This one actually looks more folded over in this picture than it did in the previous ones. And you've got all of this secreted bar material into the sole here. And you can see all of these little bits here underneath. All of that is just wanting to lift off. A little bit of clever knife work, that would clean up beautifully and show you where you need to be. Yeah, this foot just needs a blooming good trim. And more importantly, be balanced. Can you see here? And not every foot is symmetrical. That's not what I'm saying. But the heel here on this side, and look at where it is in relation to the frog. Not that I want you to trim it to relation to the frog. What I'm saying is it's different. You've got a heel here, and this is where this one is landing. Can you see how far forward it is in comparison to this one? Because it's not balanced. So we've got a lot of heel here. Now this is just periopal. That's because he's a hairy monster, and it doesn't exfoliate as well. All of this will just flake off. But yeah, the heels are very high, but they can come good. They can come good. All of this in the quarters here, all of this breaking off is because it's just got too much activity because of the shoes, and it's a bit more flat. You trim to the hard sole plane, there'll be a more natural arch in the quarters, which will help to stop all of this, this cracking off, obviously once the nail holes have grown out. You see that doesn't even look balanced from there, does it? This one looks higher. Now again, this might be like the photograph, but it looks as though we've got more foot on this side, and it looks as though it's leaning slightly. So lower this side, higher this side, the balance issue. Not that you would always govern that balance from looking from above. It's always governed from below. Always. Okay, so this is another foot. Again, bars, massive. This is like having boulders in your shoes and then having to walk on them. This hoof just needs a very good trim. It's desperate for a trim. Okay, so I want to get on to, oh, look at all this bar material here. This is so high. When the horse puts its foot down, I would imagine that this is being weight bearing, and bars are not meant to be weight bearing at all. There's a lot you can do for this horse, Solara, a lot. And I have to say, it's not that difficult. It really isn't. We can help you. We can help you. Right, I want to get to the x-rays before we run out of time.
Good boy. A little faster.
He's not doing too bad, is he? But he could do a lot better. He's very handsome.
Up, up, up.
Okay, so he's a bit lame there.
Good boy.
Okay, so this is the left fore. This x-ray has been taken at a slightly oblique angle. That's why the joints look very large here. Looks like we've got some side bone here. Again, side bone is created by the lateral cartilages turning to bone because of balance issues. And with all I can say is, Solara, I'm so sorry that you've been let down by the equine industry, because this is just caused by an imbalance, and that's through hoof care. You can have a little bit of side bone, whether they're shod or barefoot, but it's about balance. It really is about natural balance. Can't see a huge amount at the toe. There may be a bit extra at the heel here, but because the x-ray's not been taken directly straight onto the side of the foot, it's difficult to tell. So let's have a look at another one. Okay, so that's better. So this is the right fore. Not too bad. Not too bad. Maybe got a little bit of ring bone here or arthritis, but it's quite slight. Can't quite see what's going on here, again because of the angle of the x-ray. There's something going on here. I wonder if that's side bone. That's looking like side bone. So this is going to have an influence on, there's nothing you can do about it now, because once lateral cartilage is turned to bone, it can't go back to cartilage again. But it may have an impact on his flexibility in the back of the foot. I know these, there you go, there's the side bone on both sides. It would be interesting to know how he was stood when this x-ray was taken. He may very well have been leaning But if he wasn't, then you can see how the imbalance there is not working for him. Okay, we've got the side bone here as well. So this is on both front feet. So here the balance doesn't look as off, but it's still off. Can you see the joints here are very narrow and they're wide apart here? So this is, again, is not balanced. Okay, so on this image, I would say we've perhaps got, we need a trim, but we've got a little bit too much at the toe here. Now, I know these x-rays were taken, was it back in August? Have I got that right? Is my memory working for me? Bless him. He's got the will to move, hasn't he? Okay. So, Solara, I think you're on the right track, or on the right path, so to speak. You've taken the shoes off. That's awesome. He has got some a little bit of arthritic changes. He's got some side bone. Not really much you can do about that now, but you can keep him more comfortable by following the constants of the foot. And yeah, I think because your farrier and your vet are stumped of how to take him further forward, if you're physically able, then I think you've been brought to us for a reason. So get on those challenges or a workshop as much as you can. I didn't even have time to see where you are in the world. I would imagine that it's not somewhere where we visit. So the challenges are probably going to be the best option. Right, let me come back to you. Now I've stopped sharing. Okay, so where did I get to with the comments? Okay, let's see what Solara says. Hey, I'm so happy to hear that there is so much I can do. Thank you again for all your incredible knowledge. You're very welcome. We can provide you with the knowledge. You've just got to be up for doing it, because unfortunately, like I said before, we're not in the realms of Star Trek where we can be beamed to you and help you straight away. If only we could, we would love that, because so many people need helping. So let's see what we love pets. How long does it take for the side bone to develop, and how would you know they had it if you didn't have x-rays? Good question. You wouldn't know that they had it. However, for Nelson, I would imagine that palpating around the back quarter of the coronet band round to the heel bulbs, I would imagine that you can probably feel it. But of course, that was fairly advanced side bone. When it starts growing from the palmar processes, so what it does, you can see it on this pedal bone here. So you've got these palmar processes which are here, and that's where the lateral cartilage is attached to. And when the foot is constantly kept out of balance, it can't land flat like it was meant to, because horses don't land heel first, like many people say they do. They want to land flat on a flat surface. If they can't, what they do is they try to stabilize the foot. And that stabilization is that cartilage turning to bone. So it happens, or it might happen one side, and then it might happen the other side, and then it might happen the other side. So it's constant imbalances is what causes it. And you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know without x-rays. It just goes to show how important it is to know how to balance a horse's foot. It is not easy to teach. It is not easy to learn, but once you've got it, you'll have it forever. You'll have it forever. But balance is so underestimated, and so many people try to fix a problem by altering the feet, and it just has a knock-on effect, not only just to the feet, but to the rest of the body. If you think that side bone and that imbalance is just restricted to the foot, think again. But that shouldn't stop us from doing what we can to make it better. Okay. Okay, Solara, do you think the day today changes in lameness means the lameness is more likely the hoof than the arthritis? I think what needs to happen, Solara, is that his diet, his management, which it sounds as though you're getting on top of now, going to a track system, having good quality hay that's got no rye in it, as mixed species as possible. So you've got the biodiversity and constant hoof care. Constant, consistent, balanced hoof care. That's what needs to happen. He needs to have everything stable. And then you should start to see that lameness start to diminish as much as it can. I have high hopes. I have high hopes. But it's the consistency that needs to happen. So many people try and fix things. Oh, this might be a problem. I'm going to try and fix it. And I think you're trying to do that now. But what you're doing is you're starting to think, well, if this is flaking away, does it need to be there? And partly you're right. You just need to go that next step further. Okay, so you're in Cape Town. Yeah, I did wonder. Now, who else? We've got a student over that way, but I can't remember exactly where she is. So it might be worth you two getting together. I'll ask her first and see if it's possible. Then that would be a huge step, learning curve for you to have somebody close by. She's very much in her infancy of becoming a HMB Pro, which is part of the 2-year training program. Yeah, awesome lady. Awesome lady. So let's see what we can sort out for you. Have you heard of any treatment for side bone? Some vets have recommended shockwave treatment. I have to say, there is a lot, but there's very little proof that any of it works. I'm all for balanced, natural movement, which, let's face it, is the physiotherapy that they should have always had. So let's get the feet right. Let's get him encouraged to move. Let's get him more sound. Let's hopefully get you riding him. And then you can have this wonderful partnership. At the moment, I wouldn't advise adding anything else just yet. Shockwave treatment. Nothing's going to take that side bone away, like I said before. It's there. It's cartilage that's turned to bone. That's not going to go anywhere now. So, yeah, you're stuck with it. We can just make him the best that he can be right now. Got it. Thank you. I don't know what I explained. We've got through so much this evening. And it's now 20 past 10 and my brain is starting to shut down. Susie, thank you so much for your knowledge, Gary. So helpful. You're very welcome. You're very welcome. Last one. Thanks, Gary. I shall keep you guys updated on the challenges. I appreciate everyone who gave me advice today. Yes, and it's such a lovely it's a lovely group. Everybody's so supportive. We're here to help you But ultimately, you need to you need that knowledge. You need that knowledge. There's a load of stuff online. Go to Lindsay's YouTube channel. This is probably where you're watching me now. And there is so much there. But the challenges will get you to where you want to be much quicker, because it is laid out in a much more logical level, and it's layered learning. And ask anybody that's taken the challenges. You don't have to take my word for it. Yeah, knowledge is power, Solara. And do keep in touch. We'd love to hear how Nelson gets on in the future. Right, that's it from me. I'm going to now go and have a little tipple and go to bed because I'm knackered. Great for you to have you all joining me. And Solara, thank you very much for giving permission to share Nelson's story, albeit it's very much in the beginning of his journey and your journey, to help others around the world. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Oh, Susie's just put in, the challenges are awesome. Thanks, Susie. Okay, you take care now. Have a great weekend, everybody, and I'll see you next week. See ya. Bye-bye.